Title: Last Flight. Home Prologue. The Departure. The early morning sun cast golden streaks across the rust-colored rooftops of Ekiji Village. The house buzzed with excitement. Neighbors filled the compound, singing songs of farewell. In the heart of it all was Billy, a young man of 28 with a sharp mind, humble heart, and the kind of smile that reassured you everything would be okay. Billy stood beside his mother, Mama Billy, who fought to hold back tears as she adjusted his collar. His father, Pa Ize, looked on with pride as he tapped his walking stick against the red soil. "Go, my son. Learn all you can. Make your name shine. Make your country proud." Billy had earned a full scholarship to study for a PhD in economics at Ixyam, a prestigious university in the United States. The whole village had celebrated the news. Songs were composed in his name. A special service was held at church. Gifts poured in. To everyone, Billy wasn't just a student. He was the village's hope. He turned one last time at the airport gate, eyes misty. His parents waved, smiling through tears. "I'll come back with my PhD and make things better," he said. Then he disappeared into the crowd of travelers, carrying with him a million dreams and the prayers of an entire people. America was vast, cold, and unfamiliar. The tall buildings, the quiet streets, the food, everything was different. Billy arrived in the university town of Boulder, Colorado, his breath visible in the air, suitcase in hand, nerves dancing beneath his skin. The university was a sprawling mix of old stone buildings and modern glass structures. Billy settled into his shared apartment, made friends with his roommate Alex, a tech-savvy, laid-back Californian, and threw himself into his research. Professors quickly noticed his brilliance. Dr. Eleanor White, his thesis advisor, took a special interest in him. "You're one of the sharpest minds I've seen in years, Billy," she said during a supervision meeting. "Your paper on sub-Saharan economic policy has real potential." Back home, Mama Billy would call twice a week, often at awkward hours due to the time difference. "Billy, remember to eat well and pray. The devil works hardest on those who carry light." He always laughed. "Mama, I eat like a lion and pray like Elijah." Through the seasons, Billy adapted. He wore scarves in winter, picked up American slang, aced his courses, and even joined a local African student union where he felt more at home. There he met Naya, a spirited Kenyan American working toward her master's in public health. Billy's second year was the most intense. Coursework gave way to research, and the pressure mounted. Late nights in the library, endless data analysis, and weekly meetings with Dr. White kept him on his toes. Still, he remained determined. Every time he felt overwhelmed, he would stare at the framed photo of his family on his desk. He spoke to Mama Billy on Sunday evenings. "Billy," she said once, her voice heavy with pride and fatigue, "your father and I have been saving every kobo. We'll renovate the house before you come home. There's even talk in the village that you'll be made a councilman once you return." Billy chuckled. "Mama, one step at a time. Let me finish this PhD first." Still, the weight of those expectations sat heavily on his shoulders. He wasn't just pursuing a dream, he was carrying the hopes of a family, a village, and a nation. Despite the pressure, good news came like cool rain in the dry season. Billy was offered a job at Country Oil, a multinational energy company that had read one of his economic policy briefs published in an academic journal. It was a dream offer: competitive salary, relocation package, even an option to work in Africa in the future. Dr. White beamed. "I told you, Billy, you're the kind of economist who doesn't just follow the models, you rewrite them." He sent the news home. Mama Billy cried. "Your father danced like David, Billy." The whole compound heard the news. But even amidst joy, Billy stayed grounded. He still mentored undergraduates, volunteered at a local food bank, and kept up with his research. At night, he would sit by his window, sip tea, and whisper, "Just a few more months." Spring in Boulder was unusually warm. The trees along campus, pathways bloomed in bright defiance of the cold winter that had just passed. Billy had just completed the first full draft of his dissertation and sent it to Dr. White for review. "It reads like policy gold," she told him at their next meeting. Your analysis on African oil economies will change how we look at resource management. Billy was quietly ecstatic. His dreams were aligning. The defense date was set. The job at Country Oil was confirmed. He would finish his PhD by summer and start work immediately. It was around this time that Mike, a friend from the African Student Union, invited him to a weekend get-together in the neighboring town. "Come on, Billy," Mike had urged. "We've all been working so hard. You need one night to dance and laugh." Billy hesitated. He had more data sets to clean, a few graphs to polish, but something in Mike's persistence, and perhaps the need to breathe, won him over. "All right," he agreed. One night. The house party was lively. Afrobeats pulsed through the speakers. People from various countries mingled freely, dancing, chatting, sipping drinks. Billy stayed mostly with Mike and Nia, who had also come along. He laughed harder than he had in weeks. Nia teased him about his 2 left feet, and for once he didn't mind. He was just Billy, not the economist, not the village's hope, not the PhD candidate, just a young man enjoying a rare moment of lightness. But in the corner of the room, another guest drank heavily, his voice rising with every shot he took. The man, Jake, was known to Mike. "He's not dangerous," Mike said when Billy asked. "Just a loudmouth." The music grew louder, the crowd denser. Then came the shouting. Jake was arguing with someone. No one paid much attention at first until the gun appeared. Jake, drunk and enraged, pulled out a pistol. People screamed, ducking for cover. A scuffle followed. And in that chaos, a single shot rang out, sharp and final. Billy staggered. A dark red stain spread across his white shirt. He looked down in disbelief. The cup he held shattered on the floor. Then everything faded. The sound of sirens pierced the night, red and blue lights flashing against the walls of the modest house. The crowd had scattered, leaving behind overturned chairs, broken glass, and the body of a dreamer. Billy lay motionless, his chest rising shallowly. Nia, shaking with terror, knelt beside him, pressing her scarf against the wound. "Stay with me, Billy. Please, don't close your eyes." Mike paced frantically, hands covered in blood. "What do we do? What do we do?" "The ambulance is coming," someone yelled from the driveway. Minutes later, paramedics burst in. They worked quickly, efficiently. CPR, IV lines, defibrillator pads. Billy was wheeled into the ambulance, Nia riding beside him, holding his cold hand. At the hospital, doctors fought for him. They did everything modern medicine could allow, but the bullet had torn through his lung and lodged near his heart. At a 3:42 a.m., Billy was pronounced dead. Back at the scene, Jake had been arrested without resistance, his face a mixture of confusion and horror. "I didn't mean to. I didn't know the gun was loaded." The news spread like wildfire. First to the African Student Union, then to Dr. White. Then, with trembling hands, the university called the Nigerian consulate. In Akeji village, Mama Billy was preparing a care package for her son. Dried vegetables, a new Ankara shirt, a rosary blessed by the parish priest. She was humming a hymn when the call came. She collapsed before the voice on the line could finish. Pa Ize, too stunned to cry, simply sat outside on the wooden bench, staring at the mango tree Billy once climbed as a child. The village wept. Hope had died. A thief in the night had stolen their brightest star. The next morning, Akeji village was silent. The air felt heavier, as though the trees and winds themselves had heard the news. Children walked slower. Market women didn't shout their usual greetings. Even the goats didn't bleat as loudly. Inside Mama Billy's home, relatives had begun, arriving. Some hugged her tightly, others sat by the fire, whispering prayers. The wails would rise like waves, and just as quickly, recede into sniffles and silence. Mama Billy didn't speak for hours. She just held Billy's last letter in, her hands clutching it so tightly the paper tore. Pa Easy, old and weary, stared out the window. "He was our only child," he muttered. "He carried our future." The village elders came. The church choir came. Even people who had once envied the family's blessings came. One woman sobbed, That boy never passed me without greeting. Never. Back. In America, a memorial was held on campus. Dr. White gave a speech through tears. Billy was more than a student, he was a force of light. This university will never forget him. Nia couldn't bring herself to speak. She left a bouquet of white lilies at the base of the campus flag, whispering, "You should have danced more." The university began arrangements to send Billy's body home. The paperwork, the legal delays, the government involvement, all moved too slowly. Mama Billy grew gaunt with every passing day. "Let my son come home," she cried, "even if he comes. In a box. Let me hold him one last time." Weeks passed, and finally, one humid afternoon, the cargo plane arrived. Years passed. The pain of Billy's death never left Mama Billy's heart, but she learned to live with it, not as a wound, but as a scar that reminded her of love, loss, and legacy. The Billy Ease Foundation grew. Each year, it sponsored young scholars from underprivileged backgrounds across Africa to pursue degrees in economics and public policy. Some studied abroad, others worked in local communities, implementing the very ideas Billy had dreamed of. His room remained intact, a shrine of inspiration, university plaques on the wall, a journal on the table, photographs. Each visitor that came through left with a story and with new motivation to push forward. Mama Billy became a symbol in her own right. She spoke at international conferences on education and resilience. Her voice, firm yet kind, told the story of her son with dignity. Billy's life was not a tragedy. It was a seed. Look at the forest now. Children from Akaji village went further than ever before. Some became engineers, doctors, writers. They always returned home, even if briefly, to say thank you to the mother of dreams. And on the anniversary of his death, people gathered under the mango tree. Candles were lit. Songs were sung. A quiet strength filled the air. Mama Billy, now old and frail, stood beneath the tree and whispered, "Sleep well, my son. Your light still shines." Above them, the stars blinked like scattered blessings. Somewhere beyond the clouds, a dream still lived. The end.